Welcome to Testimony Mountain. I am so glad you're here, and I am excited to share with you a testimony from my friend Muriel. We were going to record this together, but she shared it in a group setting, and so we thought that might be an easier way to just share that video with you today. So enjoy my friend Muriel.
For the last few months, the Lord has really been talking to me a lot about the armor of God, and at the essence of the impartation that they've been giving me, it is that it's rooted in relationship with them, and it really is a representation of where we're connecting with them in the different areas of the armor. Um, and also recently, it was revealed through memory and encounter that I have a twin at the very least, if not more presentations out there in the world externally. Has some internally too, apparently. But anyway, Tuesday night, no, not Tuesday night, Monday night, before I was coming to Austin, no, it was Tuesday night because I came on Wednesday. Sorry. Anyway, when that night as I was flying out, um, I was having a hard time getting packed. Everything was kind of interfering, a lot of interference going on. And so I laid down to rest, and I thought, well, I'll set my alarm and I'll get up and finish packing. Well, I woke up about an hour later after I laid down, and this was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I woke up with a start, and my whole body had jerked, and um, I didn't know what had happened, but I just kept saying, no, I choose God's timeline. I choose God's plans and purposes for me. I will not change. And I just had this sense like I had been trying to have my timeline switched out or changed in a different realm or something um, not of God. And so I didn't think too much more of it. Like I didn't know really exactly how to process it. And so I just got up and I packed and got on my plane, and everything kind of had gone normal till I got on the plane and I was going to my seat. I was one of the first ones that had been called for my section and went to my seat, but there I had the window seat, and there was this older gentleman in the aisle seat, and he was kind of sputtering at me because, I had taken so long to get there, I guess. Or he was just having a bad day. I didn't know. But to try, because there was a huge line behind me, I just threw my shirt, because I wear this just like long sleeve denim shirt when I'm flying. It's more comfortable. Um, Into the seat. Well, the tail of the shirt hit the man, and he kind of was like got his ire up because I'd invaded his space, I guess. And I apologized profusely. I didn't know what else to do but say sorry. And then I had to, because all the overhead bins were filled in that area. I had to go down like 4 or 5 rows to find a spot for my suitcase and then head back upstream. So when I finally got back to my seat, then he was like all grumbly because he had to get up and let me into my seat. It was so bizarre. I've never had anyone be that upset that had an aisle seat. And so it kind of like I was kind of on edge a little bit too. And I was just trying to keep in my space. And he was a rather big man, but not all that big. And he proceeded to sit back down and then put his legs as wide as he could, and it was halfway into my seat. Take both armrests, just fill the area with his being, and it triggered stuff in my parts inside because I have had sadly trafficking and incest and other experiences that I'm still healing from. And so I had some parts starting to rumble, and um, so I was kind of trying to tuck them in because I often feel like I've got this little sling like you'd hold a baby in, and we just tuck in there all comfortable with true family. And I was, trying to, um, keep it together. And the takeoffs and landings are always the worst for me. I'm not sure why, but I was just feeling extra closed in, and um, like I was in a can. What came to me is you're in a soup can. And I think that some of my littles were just all worried about flying, especially because I've had some concerns with all the traffic accidents that have been happening, the air traffic accidents that have been happening recently. And so we pulled out onto the tarmacs, and we were waiting our turn, and the pilot got on and said, "Oh, well, we've been forbidden to come, to take off to come to Phoenix," because, and I was flying out of Reno, um, because they were having an extended amount of air traffic at the time. And so they delayed our flight for 40 minutes. So for 40 minutes, we're sitting on the tarmac, and I'm like the whole time trying to just go, okay, this hour flight has, a little over hour flight is now turned into hour and a half, going on 2 hours, because who knows if we'll really take off when they say. And so just trying not to panic, because I also have, blood clotting issues. So when I don't have my legs up, that's, so all those concerns were popping up. But anyway, we finally were able to take off, and we had no more gotten into the air when a dragon face appeared right here, like 2 inches from my face. And it was very demonic, very unsettling. And so, like, immediately I was like turning to True Family, because thankfully I had texted a few people, and they reminded me, "You're doing this with True Family. It's always nice to have friends, yes, to help settle ourselves when things go unplanned." And so I was like, "True Family, whatever." And I had already been busy kind of like, forgiving this man, and, forgiving all the people that had abused me and trafficked me and stuff, and repenting and doing all the stuff that we've been, processing in our prayer times with the Lord. And, um, there's always deeper level, and that's what I felt like it was probably was. And then all of a sudden, I'm hearing the man next to me start this grunting that was like what you would expect a man to sound like in a sexual thing. And I had some littles giggling and other littles panicking, and it's like a little trip. But we settled down. We kept on entering in and connecting with True Family, and they showed me what they had shown me just like 2 days before, or no, it was the day before, that this bubble that was around me, it was the shield of faith from the armor that they'd been teaching me, and the bubble was encompassed my whole body so that nothing could harm me. And scripture does talk about the wraparound shield of faith. When we look at the Roman shields, they're nothing compared to God's wraparound shield of faith. And I could just feel their holding me. And so we got through that flight, and came in. We were so late that I thought I was going to miss my second flight, my connecting flight. But the connecting flight had been delayed, so I had 3 minutes to get to my next plane. And thankfully, it was only 2 gates away. Other people had to go a lot longer, a lot farther. And I got on there. We were all boarded. It was a lot newer plane. It was a lot bigger plane. I felt safer. We weren't crammed in because there were 3 seats this time, and I was at the window seat, and there was this lovely young lady in the aisle seat, and nobody in between. So I was like, and then we had pulled away from the gate. We're on the tarmacs, and the pilot came on and said, we're having a leak. We need to go back and have the mechanics look at it. And um, it will take a while. And so we were all like, okay, so we're once again confined, you feel like you're being held against your will in these settings. And finally got back to the gate. The mechanics finally came and looked at it, and then they were like, everybody has to get off the plane because they have to totally shut it down and it'll get really hot. So, and take all your stuff. So we took all our stuff off. And I was getting really hungry by then. So I said, hey, because they said stick at the gate. And I was like, can I go get something to eat? Because I'm really hungry. And they're like, yeah. So I went like 2 doors down, grabbed a piece of pizza, came back, and there were all these people there still at the gate. And so I was just sitting there eating my pizza, and I must have like blanked out or something. I'm not sure what was happening, but I was enjoying my pizza. And all of a sudden, I became aware again, and there was hardly any people in the gate. I'm like, oh no, did they take off without me? Like I didn't have a watch, so I wasn't really aware of the time, but they hadn't told us the time anyway. So it was pretty strange. Anyway, the I looked up at the monitor and found out, yeah, they had changed gates. So I got there just in time. They were just boarding again. And so we got on there, and I believe that was a go for the rest of the time, other than we were delayed a couple of hours from what my original travel plans were. So the next day, I was a good girl and I journaled. And I was asking to family about what was that neck back thing, and Adena, I had told Adena about it, and she asked, well, were they trying to switch you out? And I was like, I didn't even know what that would be like or anything, so it hadn't even occurred to me. So I asked family, what was going on? Were they trying to switch me out? And they said, and True Family said, yes, they were trying to misalign and preempt my timeline, um, and what was happening in my life, and especially what was happening on this trip and what was going to be happening at the retreat. And um, so it was kind of like this 1-2 punch going on. And they were talking to me about the prayers that I was doing and engaging with the armor of God and stuff was building trust and confidence in them, and in myself too, that I could turn to them and to actually have it work, actually be in communion with them so that it was working. And oh, that was one of the things too, that on that first flight, family asked me to take communion with them, and all I had was water and the pretzels that they handed out. So well, we did it anyway. Um, they told me that the happenings the day before were the result of my defiance to their plans, that I've been bucking them. And that is really good news to me, because I've wondered what my parts were up to sometimes, because I know some of them have been very cult loyal, and it scares me because I don't want to be um, sowing into the kingdom of darkness. I want to be sowing into the heavenly kingdom. And I asked them about, well, how come they were, able to like appear to me, and that was so oppressive on that first flight. And they told me that that they had to, because I dug deep, they had to reveal themselves in a really dramatic way. They had to uncover themselves. And but that I had turned my distress into trust in them, and their tactics of intimidation and fear um, weren't working, um, because I had turned to true family. And what it really pleased me was that they told me that they were really proud of me, and they were specific to say, and were speaking of all of your parts too. And that just really blessed me. They said if it were not for the prayers of the saints, and they said, we're speaking of the friends that you reached out to that prayed for you, then that malfunction with the plane would not have been discovered before departure. And it would have resulted in a plane crash and the loss of lives. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, you guys are so valuable. You have no idea. No idea. And I really appreciate you holding me up during those times. Many of you are here and many are not, but will probably listen to this. And it was just so neat. And they also said that it was a nice job putting on the armor and connecting with us, that when you step into connection with us, it activates the armor and gives you clarity to see that we have covered you from head to toe. Relationship with us completes you. And I just wanted to share that. That's so important lesson for me, that I am complete when I connect to them. And one other point, it was just a kind of tie up one little loose end, and that was that the next day I had a session with Adena, and my body was not happy with me. And it wasn't happy because I had dealt with and interacted with my parts on my inner realm, but I had forgotten my body. My body needed to release those emotions too. My body needed to release the trauma from all of the human trafficking, sexual trafficking, the sex magic, the whole thing that we were dealing with. And I had forgotten all about my body, and my body needed the breath of life to recover. And it was resistant to that. And I couldn't understand, because it was Holy Spirit that was offering to just give a little bit, and it didn't want it. It wasn't sure it wanted to live. And I talked to Nikki that night, and she was telling me about a ritual that she believes she saw me in. And normally we don't share this kind of information about, when we see other, other survivors in a particular thing. But for some reason, the Holy Spirit prompted me to ask her about this ritual, and about if I had had a part in it, had she seen me there. And she confirmed that, and she talked about that whole ritual was about trying to steal the breath of life from the participants in the ritual. And so it was confirmation to me of why my body did not, was afraid to receive something called the breath of life. And so just sometimes think crazy things come up like that, that you're like, what? And it just really gave fulfillment. And I just couldn't believe that. I mean, within 24 hours of being here, I had a whole lot of pieces to my puzzle pulled together and assurance that God was doing amazing things and that I had come here on time, that I wasn't too soon, I wasn't too late, um, but that it was all planned out. And anyway, I just thank you for listening and hope you got something of value out of that testimony.
Thank you so much for watching Testimony Mountain. I hope that you will share, like, subscribe, and pass this on to those who may need it. Remember that you have a testimony too, and would love if you are interested in sharing it on Testimony Mountain. You're welcome to do it by written form. I can read it, or if you'd like to come on with me or record something on your own. And we just thank you so much. Bless you.